talking, I don't sweat that. If they don't trust me either, I respect that. If she need down the ride, oh, I bet that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is JH. How ya doing, Postal family? Is everybody good? Is everybody cool? Everybody clean? Are you crisp? Are you feeling irie today? Haha. Let's talk. But first, here's a side note for those that don't know. Did you know that using an electric can opener, one revolution just to open up one can, is the same amount of electricity as leaving your radio playing for a full day or your TV running for a full day? True. So those that have those electric can openers, stop using them. Use too much electricity. Anyway, has nothing to do with the price of sugar in China. Definitely doesn't. Let's talk. If the post office is focused on cutting costs, they need to check into the many grievances being filed by the clerks on a daily basis. Just last week at my station in Texas, they filed because 17 RCAs were in the pit pitching parcels. So in turn, they each got paid $2,300 extra for not doing their job. How the hell does that even make any sense? They'd rather pay out grievances instead of hiring more damn clerks to do the job. Then the post office wonders where the money is going. Make it make sense. If it wasn't for the RCAs, we would never leave the station at a decent time. It's not fair because they have to pitch parcels and deliver a whole route while clerks reap the benefits. Whew, this is a touchy subject, isn't it? Touchy subject. Yes, this was a comment that was left, and I'm going to give my input on this comment as well as give an example myself, and I will give you the real deal. The grievances that are being filed tend to be a nuisance to not only management, but as well as your fellow co-workers. This is a lot of money from what I'm reading here. And the individual that wrote this, it does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. But here's the thing. What do you do when management requires you to do a job that crosses crafts? So there's two parts to this. Honestly, you have to, in most scenarios, do the job, then grieve it later, right? Do the RCAs, the rural carriers, do they get paid any extra for doing this? I don't believe they do. I know for a fact at one of the stations in my area that it runs rampant. They require the new carriers or rural carriers to come in, and while they are actually doing the clerk work, they have to log in under a different craft, basically, to show that they are doing the parcels. So they're just carriers, right? And they have to put it in on the time clock that they're in the office pitching parcels. Now, it can't make sense because if you're a carrier, you're not supposed to be sorting parcels, right? It doesn't make sense. But management is requiring these people to do that. Who's at fault here? Tell me, who's at fault? Anybody? Now, we're going to continue with this conversation before you jump into it. Is it the rural carrier's fault? Or is it management's fault for not hiring more clerks? So if the rural carriers don't help or the new CCAs don't help, they'll get in trouble, right? But when the rural carriers or the city carriers go and they speak to their union reps, the union rep says, hey, we'll grieve it later. What exactly are they grieving? Hey, we need more rural carriers. Do they say cease and desist from using our people? No, they really can't. But then you got the clerks union rep that says they don't care because they're getting extra money for their clerks. Which, I mean, I agree with to a degree because I don't want anybody else doing the job that I'm supposed to be doing. I want them to hire more people. That's like if management came and started driving one of our trucks, I'd be like, yo, that don't even make sense unless it's dire emergency, then okay. But these are not emergencies. This is a consistent thing on a consistent basis. So who's abusing the system in this? Now, the clerks, they really don't push as hard because they're just filing the grievance to get more money for their clerks. The $2,300 per person, that's crazy. And the clerks don't mind because that's the extra money for them. The carriers, on the other hand, I don't believe they're getting any extra money for doing the work, except for the money that they are on the clock. So it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. It's such a touchy subject, but the real issue is they are paying out extra money, which is not necessary. They're paying out grievance money, and the post office is definitely losing a lot of money for that. Some people say, hey man, if I get some extra money, that's great. Okay, yeah, I get that too. But here's another scenario for you. And this happened with me. And I was with a new driver, and my job is safety, right? So while I'm with this new driver never used a pallet jack before, never used an electric pallet jack before, and he's there trying to load his truck. Now, again, he's in day one of training, really, and he has these heavy pallets that he has to get onto his truck. Never used a pallet jack before. So I go and okay, well, let me show you how to do this, how to load, so you can load it safely and properly so that your load doesn't shift, so that nobody gets damaged. Cool. He asks a mail handler, can you help me? Mail handler says, no, I'm busy right now. We're bringing all the mail out from the back. Okay, cool. I respect that. They're doing their job. And in turn, my job, safety. Make sure everybody is safe in those scenarios. So I get a pallet jack and I say, okay, this is how you use it. And I start showing him. He grabs one. He's doing it himself as well. Another mail handler comes up and he's like, what are you doing? And I looked at him and I don't have to answer to anybody. Oh, we're going to file a grievance. I said, okay, well, whatever you want to file a grievance for. He said, don't you have something else to do? I look at him, excuse me? Don't you have something else to do? Now, I don't know if he realizes. I'm pretty sure he does it. I am in safety and I don't think he realizes that my job is to make sure that things are being safe and show people safely how to load, safely how to strap, so that I don't have to see these people injured, etc. Part of my job, I have a broad scope. Don't you have something else to do? Don't you have some TikToks to make? And so I addressed it. I said, well, I don't make TikToks. It's YouTube or whatever. Don't you have some of those things to make? I said, no, honestly, I don't. But I mean, if you want to be famous, I can make you famous. Like, what? Don't come at me sideways. And his thing is, obviously, he wants to go and file a grievance because he feels as if I'm doing their job. Well, no, I'm not doing your job, number one. I'm teaching the gentleman how to load his truck properly and safely, how to use the equipment safely. Is that not my job? Yeah, obviously it is my job. But if a person asks a mail handler for help and the mail handler does not help, then somebody else can step in to help. And so they're going to try to file a grievance and get paid for work that they did not do, even though somebody asked them to help. So this is where you have the double-edged sword. Now, this person will probably, make up a story, file a grievance, and try to get paid for work they didn't do or they weren't going to do because they were doing something else. I understand that to a degree, but Moral of this story is there is a lot of grievances being filed, and somebody, he's probably making about $45 an hour or $40, I don't know, whatever it is. They're going to get paid. They'll make up 2 hours of work just to get a little extra money. Now, all this stuff tends to add up. It adds up. Think about it, that's just my little place. This adding up all over the country. That's a lot of grievance money for work that people don't do. Now, you can't blame the union, because the union, obviously, their job is to make sure that people don't cross crafts. Well, at least enforce the contract. But some people look for the money aspect of it versus the moral end of it. Hey, we don't have enough mail handlers out here to help the drivers get the things loaded. Hey, we don't have enough clerks out here so that these carriers don't have to be pitching parcels. So where is the line drawn? Because some people are very content with, you know what? Let the rural carriers sort the mail. We'll just continue to get paid. I'm not going to file for anything except for just getting paid. Now, management, if they start doing them, just file on that because they're going to keep getting paid because they're understaffed with the clerks. What happens at this point? Now, this is a real serious question from myself to others. What does somebody do in that scenario? Now, suppose one of the rural carriers or the carrier gets hurt crossing the craft while they're in there and they're using a machine to let the gaylords up, or for, the cage up, and maybe the cage door opens and hits them. Pow! They weren't supposed to be doing that work. What happens in that scenario? Who gets in trouble for that? Seriously, who gets in trouble? When a carrier goes and crosses over to a rural side, somebody's going to file a grievance on that. Somebody's going to get paid. There's so many different aspects to the grievance end of it, and who's right in that scenario? Honestly, I think they just need to hire more clerks, but they don't want to hire clerks because all of the changes that are happening. To a degree, I would say the management, yeah, okay, I get it, but this has been going on for 4 or 5 years before all these changes happened. So who gets in trouble? Or are they just trying to save the costs, or they can't keep clerks there? Whatever the case is, grievances are a headache for tons of people. So for somebody that says, well, damn, I'm doing the work that my manager told me to do, and that clerk is on break, and that clerk moves at a snail's pace, but that clerk is going to get paid more money, or 2 hours labor of my time plus 2 hour labor of that person's time, 2 hour labor of the other person's time. They're going to get paid for the sweat that we're doing, and they're not doing anything. And they're content with it because they know that on a consistent basis, they're getting an extra, $150, $200 a week because we're doing their work. This is a moral thing. It's almost a disgusting thing because it's consistent. So some of the people enjoy the extra money. Everybody should enjoy extra money, but at what cost? At what cost? And again, we can't blame the union for this. Can we blame management for it? Hell, you can. But how does that get rectified? This is a conversation piece because, again, this happens nationwide on a consistent basis. And in this scenario, $2,300 each for not doing their job. $2,300. That's a lot. And 17 RCAs? That's a lot of work. And how long were they doing it? I know this happens at my sister's station on a regular basis. This one clerk lady, she will specifically request all of the new people. She'll, hey, you ain't doing nothing. Come here and give me a hand. I spoke about this probably 2 years ago. Give me a hand. And that new CCA will go and think, okay, well, she asked me to help her. I'm going to go help her. Not knowing that he's not supposed to do that. And go in there and they help for 2 hours. And the same lady that requested the help will get paid for the grievances. What? Yo, it's a weird dynamic how this place operates. And at the end of the day, I understand when this person says, make it make sense. The PO wonders where the money is going. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense because we have a certain amount of greed that is instilled with us. If I can get more money for doing less work. That's everybody's mindset. More money for doing less work. That's what I'm going to try my best to do. But at what expense? At the expense of the post office actually losing out and damn near going under. We're broke. We're broke. Now, I'm going to say we're broke to a degree because obviously we're losing millions on a regular basis. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. And whose fault is it? Is it the union? Is it management? Is it the workers? I don't know. But this is definitely a conversation piece. If you have your opinions behind it or down below, go for it. Go for it. Now, don't bash me. Don't bash me because this is obviously something that I read. And this is just my opinion. I don't think that, I've never filed a grievance for somebody else doing my work. I'll sit there and, I used to bark at my supervisor, man, you better put that damn pallet jack down. You don't need to be touching nothing. Leave stuff alone. Don't you touch it. Don't you touch it. That ain't your job. Don't touch it. And that's me. I'm not going to sit there and try and, this guy was doing our job. Let's go file a grievance. I don't care about all that. But there are other people that do. And they almost thrive off of it. They live off of the grievances. Who is to blame? Because when they hire more people, for some reason, it still doesn't matter. Because even when they hire more people, it seems that people will adjust their work. Like, oh, we got 10 more people. I'm going to slow down a little bit just so that somebody else steps in and does work that they're not supposed to do so I can still file a grievance. It's the mindset. It's the greedy mindset that we have. And am I wrong? I don't know. But please do leave your comments below. And to my friend, I made you famous. How about that? And this is JH. I'm out.
Unexpected expenses stressing you out? Get the money you need now with Loans for Feds, a program designed specifically for federal employees. Bad credit is not a problem. Application is fast and easy with same-day approvals. Apply now.